so glad that you can join me today and stuff, like this hot weather and this day. Thank you so much for being here. Really, really, really appreciate it. As you know, I covered PIVX like a long time ago, so I'm an early supporter, I like to say, which is really, really good. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, right now we're really counting on the people that know the project well,
yeah,
because especially in the crypto space, PIVX is an older project, so a lot of people don't know it, and it's gone through some turbulent times, and the whole market is turbulent right now. So it's really
yeah.
great to have the support of the community, because that's really what it's about.
Okay, yeah, I completely agree. Now that we've kind of like hit a bear market and stuff, is really, although a lot of people are seeing it as a bad thing, it's really, really a great time for a lot of projects, a lot of gems to build. So I mean, there's so much we learned from the bull market, and there's so much we learned when it was bear market previously. So it's good to just, you can build so much in the community and people that are loyal to the project and follow the project anyway. So that's always definitely a good point. I need to introduce you. Okay, so I am joined by Sparrow, who's a project lead at PIVX. I would love you to introduce yourself and the team.
So my name is Sparrow, and I'm the project lead manager for PIVX. It's not a position that I applied for. It's not something that was ever voted on. I just kind of ended up here. PIVX went through a very turbulent time a few months ago where some of the lead developers left, and there was kind of this void. So there was a group of us that got together, 30 plus dedicated volunteer Pivians, and we started as a task force, and then we renamed it to the PIVX core group. And it's just been working with those people and also people in the community to take a step back and look at PIVX. I mean, it's a 6-year-old project. So we really needed to step back and say, okay, 6 years ago, nobody knew what was going to go on, where we would be. So what is working for PIVX and what is not working? And then we had to go from there. And it's also really great because it's a blend. Some of our group are the OG. They've been there since day one. And some of them are people, new in the last year or so. So it's really great to have new ideas and the wisdom from the people that have been there since the beginning. And that's kind of how I ended up where I am.
It's crazy. No, thanks for that breakdown. It's nice to explain how you ended up there, because sometimes people think that you applied for a role, but sometimes the role is kind of given to you in a sense. So I'm glad that you kind of highlighted that, which is really great. And I do want you to go into a bit more detail about the whole task force, because I know there's 30 of you that came together and you formed a core team, and with the responsibilities, there's not a boss per se. It's not exactly a boss, but it's kind of more like a team lead.
Yeah, so we didn't want to go corporate. I mean, PIVX is anti-corporate. It's about the DAO, so about governance, community governance, where everybody has a say. So what we really wanted to do with the task force is we wanted people to feel comfortable. We're all volunteers, nobody gets paid, so it wasn't really fair to assign bosses and even roles. So what we did is we came up with a list of roles, and then people could volunteer. They could say, I will join this team, I will join that team. And then on those teams, we had people step up and say, I'm willing to take a lead. So in my case, they asked, are you willing to take a lead for this project? And I said, yes, I'm willing to take that on as a volunteer. So there's no bosses, there's no formal meetings. Meetings are called when they're needed. And we've now broken up basically into teams. And then the team leads, the job there is that they liaise with the other teams to keep everything going smoothly and to make sure that we're all heading the same direction. Because that was one of the issues with PIVX and with a lot of projects, is that we had a lot of people pulling in different directions. And that's never great for a project. So what we really wanted to do, and which we did, we started by coming up with our core values. So we redefined core values. That came to a mission statement, which came to a vision statement, which now we all know what direction we're headed. And it's been working very, very well. We've got some really energetic, amazing people that have all come together for the same reason, but for different personal reasons. And that's always unique as well.
Cool. I think that's really, really cool. So you didn't really go for the whole corporate role. Instead, you kind of went for a different way of doing it, and a way that would you say is much better than before? with now getting,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, one of the biggest issues that I've always felt about PIVX is a lot of it was done in the dark. And I mean, to a certain point, we're still doing that because there is a separate core Discord that we work out of.
yeah,
But a lot of it was done in DMs, and a lot of the departments didn't work together. And if you don't have your core developers and your marketing team and your business team all working together, it's very difficult to achieve the results you want. And what I
yeah.
love about PIVX is people are not limited to one role. People can join one team or any number of teams. So we've got people that are translators on the business team, also on the marketing team, you know, helping promote on social media. So everybody just contributes at their own comfort level. And there's no requirement of how many hours or how much time you spend. It's all done, help when you can, help where you can. And it's been very, very successful.
Oh, nice. That's a really, really cool approach, because obviously you're a DAO and stuff, and you mentioned before, like, certain transparency is so important, and doing things in the dark, sometimes people sometimes want to just know what's going on. So even if it's right about now, the market's not great, and some projects right about now are struggling, which a lot of projects are struggling, is completely normal at this time. But I think sometimes when people have transparency and they know what's going on with the team, they know what's going on with the roadmap, they know what to look forward to, it helps them stay with a project. Even if they see the price going down, they still know, okay, cool, roadmap in this amount of time, they're building this, they've got this wallet coming up, things like that, etc. So I think it's really cool that you guys have a really, really great team, and you've kind of taken a new, different look at things and taken a step forward, like with everything that has happened. So I think that's really, really, really positive. Can you explain like how that DAO works in like detail?
So the way the DAO works is right now, anybody has the ability to submit a community proposal or a governance proposal for funding. So you can do it right from the core wallet. It's very simple. We recommend that people go to the forum and create the actual post, because that is something the wallet cannot do. So basically you go to the forum and you create a post and you say, I would like funding for this project. This is what I require. This is what the project is going to deliver. And then from there, they can go to the core wallet and link to that post in the forum and basically submit a proposal for funding. And then those proposals are voted on by masternode owners. So anybody that owns a masternode has the ability to vote on those proposals, yes or no. And then it's not just enough for a proposal to pass. There is some criteria that 10% of the total masternodes must vote on it. So there has to be engagement. And then what I really love about PIVX and the DAO is, you know, people think that, wow, they've got this huge treasury and it just spits coins out, but it doesn't work that way. Coins are only created for proposals that pass, which means if only one proposal were to pass and it was for 1,000 PIV, the rest of those treasury coins are not created. Only the coins for that proposal are created.
Right. So what happens to the rest of the treasury points?
They're just never created.
Oh, okay.
So
They
they're vanished. They're gone. Yes.
Oh, they
So
don't stay anywhere. They just disappear.
they're never created. Yes. So that
Oh,
enables us to actually be able to control inflation. So if PIVX were to go up significantly in value, obviously we wouldn't want all those coins in circulation. So it's basically the onus is on the masternode owners to make smart decisions with the treasury and hopefully fund projects, things like PIVX Poker, that are going to bring value to PIVX more so than their actual costs, just like in the real world.
yeah, I see. Okay, I'm glad that you thought about that, because I guess you don't want all of them in circulation. So I guess that's good that you're forward thinking. That's actually really, really good. It'll be kind of cool to look at the roadmap, like what kind of stuff, milestones that you guys have ahead, like what are your key milestones right about now, and what are you like most happy you've achieved lately, and what are you most looking forward to?
So those are some great questions. Hopefully I can remember them all.
Do you know what? Let's just do the first one. Let's talk about the roadmap, because it may have changed ever so slightly from what people remember, and even from my previous video when I covered PIVX a year ago. So I'm sure a lot of things have changed. So it'll be cool to kind of look at the roadmap and see what's changed and what you can look forward to.
So the roadmap has changed drastically. One of the issues that the core group felt was that PIVX has always been led by development. We've always been cutting edge. You know, we were one of the first POS coins, probably the best POS code base out there, adding privacy to it, governance, you know, especially right now in a space where we've got a lot of big projects like Zcash and Ethereum moving to POS. It actually shows us that, you know, we're actually ahead of the times in certain aspects, but it's always been development led. And at some point, a lot of us felt like it was a pet project of the developers. And it was like, this would be cool and that would be cool, rather than this would bring value. So we've really change the way we want our roadmap to look. We still want to continue with core development, but that can't be the only thing that PIVX is going to bring. We need adoption. We need community developers to come in with their ideas and be able to fund them and help them, and also connect developers together to bring adoption and use cases.
Okay. So connecting developers together. So in your roadmap, has the timeline changed for any of the completions that you were trying to do? So what with connecting developers, is that changed from the roadmap? Is it moved forward in the roadmap?
The roadmap actually has been pushed off because unfortunately we did lose 2 incredibly talented developers.
Yeah.
A lot of it was due to market conditions, etc. So that pushed the 6.0, which would be deterministic master nodes and a bunch of features.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that pushed that off. So it was supposed to be out by now. And unfortunately, it's probably going to be pushed off anywhere from 6 months to a year. So that does set development back a bit, but it also gives us time to reevaluate and really look at the roadmap and all the features on it and decide what's best for PIVX, what's best for the community, what's best for the coin.
Okay, that's brilliant. Well, at least you've thought that through. And I think even when you're pushing things back and stuff, as long as you're working on it to make it bigger and better and stronger, then I mean, that's all the community can really help for. With the milestones that you've achieved so far, what has been your favorite? Like what has been like the biggest shock, or what have you loved the most about it so far?
I think what I love the most about it is the transparency, is being able to actually see everything that's going on. And I realize for the community, they don't really have that same transparency because we've been working in a separate Discord. But the reason we needed to work in that Discord was because we had to have some really ugly conversations. You know, we had to really go back and say, okay, yes, this is what we did. And I mean, people's feelings got hurt. There were people that had championed things and we had to say, you know what, that's great, but that really doesn't work. And we need to back up on that. We need to change the way we do things. So we wanted that done in private. I mean, you can't air your laundry out in the community, but now what we want to do is,
ooh, sorry about that.
That's okay. The next step is to move all of those conversations, to move the people out into the community and have even more transparency so the community can really see what's going on. So we have marketing channels, you know, we've got an incredible marketing team that does social media at an incredible level. And we want them promoting what they're doing in the community and showing them what's going on, because that's one of the areas that I felt was really not taken seriously at PIVX. We haven't had funding for marketing. We haven't had a lot of support for these people. And that's probably the most important thing to change, is to value volunteers that are doing an amazing, stellar job and promote them, and as well be able to help fund them. You know, when they want to run contests, when they want to run promos, we need to support them and have the funding.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Really good points. And you made a great point about having the conversations that people don't always want to have. Some of those conversations where people don't want to hear certain things, those are the conversations that are needed the most. I know they're brutal, but we've all got to do it. And that's the best way to move forward. Because sometimes you could be doing something and you may think it's great, but there can be something that happens in the market. That crypto's so crazy. I feel like things change all the time. And there's so many things, so many times where we need to make changes. So I think it's really, really good that you guys are having the conversations that you don't necessarily always want to have, but need to be had. But yeah, so I think that's really, really good that you highlighted that. And that's really great. What I want you to do is, can you talk to people about the updated wallet? Because I know people are going to have questions about the wallet. I know I spoke to Sige about the downloads and he explained to me. So do you want to talk a bit about the wallet and some of the updates of the wallet?
So there are definitely changes coming to the wallet. The next update will be for a rewards change or a treasury change. So what we're doing it out of necessity. Right now, the PIVX budget, the treasury, is so small that we really can't fund anything. We can't fund promotions on the exchange. We can't fund good marketing. And we certainly do not have the funds to fund new core developers to move the project forward. So we're making some drastic changes to the rewards for the masternode and stakers, and for the treasury. But as I mentioned before, with the treasury, people look at the change and say you're going from 1 PIV to 10 PIV every block. That's a maximum number. So what that's going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to do very well during the bull markets, but also be able to be successful during the bear markets and have the funding we need to keep the project moving forward regardless. And again, we're counting on the masternode owners to be able to make smart decisions so that we're not wasting funds. We're using those funds to bring more value to PIVX.
Okay, so with the financial resources, would it be so with the wallet and stuff, is it still moving at the same pace? So is the interface the same? When is anything?
Everything is exactly the same. We're just at this point, we're just making changes to the reward structure. So the wallet will look the same, feel the same. Masternodes and stakers are going to get an increase in rewards. So
okay,
they'll use that. But yes, the wallet itself, we do have some UI updates in the pipeline, but that's not going to be in the next release. I think that's all going to be rolled together in 6.0, which will be a major release, which is really going to take PIVX back to the cutting edge where we want to be.
Oh, nice. So when you mentioned about the increase in rewards, how much will be the increase in rewards? What will be the difference?
So what we've actually done is we've doubled the rewards for masternodes and stakers.
Ooh,
so
okay.
Stakers got 2 PIV for a reward, and now they'll get 4. Masternodes got 3, and now they will get 6. So it seems like a big increase, and it is. And this was a lot of debate. This took us 3 months to work through, and it was a lot of discussion. And at the end of the day, we knew we needed to increase the treasury. That everybody in our group and the community 100% agreed, okay, we need to increase the treasury. What we had to discuss was by increasing just the treasury, we were actually decreasing the rewards for masternodes and stakers if we didn't change them, because we were generating more coins and they were still getting the same. So we had to weigh out and say, okay, how do we make this fair for the people that are supporting the project, the masternodes and the stakers, so that they're not really being devalued, but at the same time, we can't just increase it exponentially to the point where we're just printing coins and lower the value. So there was a lot of discussion, a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of analysis, a lot of looking at other coins and churning this out until, and getting consensus from 30 plus people is very difficult. And that's what really took us a long time. But once we achieved that, we then announced it to the community. And of course, some people love it. We've got a huge outpouring of support. And there are also people that say, no, you're wrong. This is not good. So, it's very difficult, but in the real world, you can't make everyone happy. So
I was just going to say,
just moving ahead.
I was gonna say, pleasing everyone in the real world's impossible. So if you get the majority, you got to take that. And the fact that you guys are asking 30 people, because your core team's 30 people, that's a lot of people anyway. Like, that's a lot of decisions. I can imagine when you're going through the spreadsheets, a lot of opinions. That's a lot of people that have different views, look at it different ways. So I mean, that must have been how long did it take to make the decision? Quite a long time, right? Or
it took us a long time, and part of that was my fault, because every time we got new information, I would circle back. So there would be people that say this is good, and there were people say I don't agree with this. And as we moved to new decisions, I would keep circling back and saying, okay, now with the new information and the old information. So it was very difficult, and it actually got to the point where we actually had to put, we do voting just in, just Discord voting, thumb up, thumb down. And we actually had to put in a third option, because we were waiting for people to vote. And then when we reached out, we realized that they were saying, you know what, this is not my area of expertise. So I'm going to choose to say, yes, I read it, but I'm not going to vote on this. Right. And that comes from my experience as well. So for instance, I'm not a marketing person. So when marketing comes and says, Dean or Sparrow, what should we do here? I don't have that opinion. And if I were to give them the opinion, it would turn out worse than if I just said, you know what, do what you do. So a lot of it also involves something called meritocracy, which was introduced to me by a longtime Pivian Cryptosi, where people of merit in that area should be the ones making the decisions. So, for me to be making marketing decisions is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. For me to be helping out in the business department and working on planning and vision, so allowing people to say, you know what, this is not my passion, this is not my expertise. So in this case, I'm going to agree with what the core group is deciding. So that's what really took the longest. And we probably spent about 2 months
Oh,
on
wow.
this entire
Okay.
proposal, because
Yeah.
we really wanted to make sure that we covered all the angles and all the different scenarios,
Yeah.
and make sure that we were making the best decision based on the information we have.
Yeah, and that's the best way to do it, because you don't want to half-heart it and then have to revisit it again and stuff. And like you mentioned before, it's good to ask, even when you're asking people, if it's not their expertise, they sometimes do need a bit of a nudge, and it might be something that they can't really answer because they don't understand. So it's all about working with people's strengths, really. So yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, yes. And we
Oh,
did pull in some extra members. You know, there is 30 plus members in core, and we wanted that group big. We realized that that makes it more difficult. But what I didn't want is a core group of people thinking that they knew exactly which way they were going, and not have all of those different personalities and different people as a failsafe or as a check.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Because I guess sometimes when you have less people to make a decision, it may make the decision quicker, but then you might not get enough of a varied opinion. Like there might be people that were like, why don't you think about this? Why don't you think about that? So I guess it's good that 30 people is a lot of people, and then you brought even extra people in. That's a lot.
Well, we did, because I wanted to reach out to some of the long-term PIVX people,
Yeah.
you know, that were with the project. I mean, I've been with PIVX since 2016, so
Oh,
I know a lot of
wow.
them. So reaching out to them and saying, you know, hey, this is what we're thinking. And part of the feedback for those that had left the project is, why did you leave the project? That was one of my big
Yeah,
questions.
do you know what? That's a good question to ask,
You know,
actually.
and a lot of the feedback came back that they loved the project,
Yeah.
but it didn't really have a use case. There was really, aside from the privacy, you know, there wasn't something where they were able to use PIVX day to day. And a lot of the feedback just said that the return on investment, the ROI, was too low for something that was that volatile, where they could get the same kind of investment in the real world, or, you know, or with other projects. So that's another one of the reasons why we decided to make the changes to the staking and masternode rewards, to bring it on par with what this type of investment should be, with risk versus reward.
Yeah, yeah. And I like the fact that you spoke to people that had left PIVX, because that's a hard thing to do when someone has left, but it's good to kind of understand why they had left and stuff, because otherwise, at least you can, with the people that you do have in a solid community, you can take into place all these different changes that need to be made. And you can even bring people that become non-fans, that were once fans, can always be fans again, because there was something that they loved about it before. So you can always win them back, which I think is really, really important and stuff.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things in business that I've always focused on, because I do come from a background of owning and running businesses, is it's easier to keep a customer than to get a new customer.
Yeah.
So we really want to talk to the people who bleed purple and say, you know, what do you love about PIVX? What do you not love about PIVX? And how can we make it better? How, you know, and for the people that are aware of PIVX, how do we bring them back? Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned before, sorry, I'm kind of like digressing right about now, but you mentioned before that you've been in the space since 2016. Is that when you got into crypto or PIVX?
Actually, both. So I was the first crypto I was introduced to was PIVX.
Oh, perfect. Was that the first? Was that the first gem you looked at? That was the very first one.
I never heard of cryptocurrency, and I was invited by a person of the community out to a meeting where it was, you know, all about PIVX, and I got to meet some of the core team. So that's another thing that I have, where I've actually met a lot of long-term Pivians in real life. So to be able to meet them and get to know them, and I fell in love with the community. I didn't care about privacy. It was just, wow, this is really, I didn't care about privacy. I was like, this is cool. You've got
a lot of people that are with PIVX. That's like a really big thing about the privacy.
I know. And that was another thing why I wanted the group so big, because one of the very first votes I had is, who cares about privacy? You know, are we even going the right direction? And it was, you know, a landslide that, yes, PIVX is privacy. And I was like, okay, we got that out of the way. Because again, and as I mentioned, you know, when we start doing small groups, it's very, very dangerous having small groups making decisions, because they're making decisions on their perception. So if I don't think privacy is important, then we could have gone really sideways. But I just fell in love with the community. And what I really love about crypto in general, and especially PIVX, is the way that people will help each other out. So, you know, people help out with learning, with sharing, development. Yeah, so I really just fell in love with the community. I have been involved with other projects.
Yeah.
So I have, had some experience outside of PIVX to see what else is going on and the way,
Yeah.
Different projects relate, the way different things work. A lot of my management style comes from another project I was involved with, where we
Ah.
actually saw the issues that we felt were at PIVX, and that's where we actually came up with the new design where everybody volunteers, everybody assumes a role, and it worked very, very well. Unfortunately, the project was a very well executed project based on a flawed idea. So that's why I'm back at PIVX.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's crazy. I find it so interesting that you started off straight at PIVX. Like, because usually when you get into sometimes when you get into cryptocurrency, like before I started doing crypto, I used to do forex and affiliate marketing. But what I liked about what you said, I used to trade gold, which is crazy. Gold was so volatile.
Right.
But but what I liked about what you said was the fact that the whole community is so important. I feel like when you come into a project, when you have a great community, you kind of all stick together, and the whole learning without, what I like most about crypto compared to affiliate marketing, forex, is that there's so many things you could do for free. When I got into a crypto space, the person that introduced me to crypto and initially helped me was just someone that was really successful in crypto and didn't ask for anything. And I just thought that was the weirdest thing. I was like, who is this guy? But he was really amazing. He met me and my sister, and he was just like, you need to be, I was doing affiliate marketing at the time. He was like, you need to be looking at cryptocurrency. And I'd only heard of Bitcoin, like on the news, I've heard of it.
Right.
And he
Right.
was like, get into cryptocurrency, blah, blah, blah. He did a 45-minute call and then retired. Like he said that he's retired and he's going to have a baby and watch anime, and he's got married and stuff. So he just did it for nothing. And I always thought, oh my gosh, because usually with other projects and Forex and all these other industries, it's like when they want to show you something, oh, buy this course, learn it. But with cryptocurrency, like you said, with PIVX, you can join a community where everyone will be there for each other. And it's like a family without anyone asking for anything. Like it's never anyone's intention for anything. It's just building a community and a family. I think that's really, really important. So I think it's really good that PIVX have a strong community, a strong core team, and a strong family, because if you have that, you have such a solid foundation. It's so important.
Absolutely. And you nailed it right on the head. PIVX for me is a family. There are people I know. If you're having a bad day, you can reach out. Even in the community, you can post about your problems and get a ton of support. We've helped people out financially in there. It really is a family where, we may disagree. We've all got that crazy uncle, but at the end of the day, we pull together and we move forward. And that's what I really, really love about PIVX. And there are other projects that I've been involved with that have that similar demographic.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you couple that community with the core development, I'm kind of a coder. I do like development. And when I look at the PIVX code, I'm just in awe. I just look at it and say, it's so clean, it's so concise, it's beautiful, it's artwork. And it's also very advanced, where some of the other projects, we didn't have that level of code. So when you put it all together, that's why I really feel PIVX is the full package.
Oh, definitely, definitely. That's brilliant. I was gonna say, let's talk a bit about the bear market, like, because we've hit a bear market right about now. Do you feel like PIVX has everything it needs for the team, financially, with the marketing, to keep building at a time like this, to keep going?
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing we were short on was funding.
Yeah.
And that's why we really had to push through to change the rewards in the treasury, because without money, you really can't do anything. I mean, no PIVX quality full-time developer is going to volunteer 40 hours a week. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
There aren't
Hard
positions where if you want that level of coding, that level of dedication, there are, they have to be paid. And we've got other members as well that put in 40 to 60 hours a week. And if you're going to dedicate that kind of time, then they need to be paid. And then the other side of it, if we want adoption, I mean, if we want to get listed on different projects, projects are businesses, and they've got their hand out, and they have, it's going to cost money to list. Exchanges cost anywhere from $50,000 to $1 million for a listing.
Crazy. You know what? I didn't know. Someone told me this recently. What project was I talking to? I can't remember. And they told me about how expensive exchanges were, and I genuinely didn't know it was that expensive.
I didn't either. Yeah,
I don't know. I just thought they just got listed. Like, I never.
That's right. I mean, with other projects, we listed on some of the lower exchanges, and back then it was, $4,000, $5,000, which I thought was ridiculous. I thought that was a fortune. And then, with PIVX and that, we started talking about, I started talking with some of the older members. I said, what did it cost us to get listed on Binance? What did it cost us to get listed on Coupon?
Interesting, because I hold my PIVX on Binance.
Right.
So yeah, but I'm a long-term, well, I've been in crypto for less than a year and a half. So I can say I'm a long-term holder of PIVX because I've had PIVX for like a year. So technically I'm a long-term holder. But I got mine on Binance. Yeah, it was actually listed on Binance at the
And
time.
you know, when you find out what a listing like that costs, and then what it costs to maintain, because you've got to have volume, and if you know, you also need to run promotions with the exchange to, you know, so it's a constant struggle to have that funding. And the worst thing for any project is to have to make hard decisions and say, okay, you know, we can't do marketing this month because we need to do this promotion, or we can't do anything this month because we need to pay our core developers. So that was one of the reasons to make this drastic change to PIVX into the treasury, to make sure that regardless of the market, we have the funding to move forward.
Okay, so that's good. That's good to know that you'll keep building and you have the funding in place. You touched upon marketing. What kind of marketing do you have in the pipeline ready for this bear market and just from now, really?
Well, we've got an amazing social media team, which also, you know, basically runs our marketing team. And they've been really good at research. So that's another thing we did is I did a deep dive, they did a deep dive, and we said, okay, what is going on out there in the world? So one of the things that came up is the four most tags are DAO, community, privacy, and NFT. And we have 3 of 4 of those.
Okay,
so we're in good shape. But the main thing we need to look at is 2 things: adoption. And we're also finding, because PIVX is a 6-year-old project, there's a whole lot of people in crypto that have never heard of it.
Yeah, very true.
So we need to spend marketing dollars, and we need to take that marketing to the people and let them know, hey, there is an amazing project here. It's proven, it's trusted, and we're waiting for you.
Yeah, so get in front of the people.
Right, absolutely. So as I mentioned, I don't really get involved with marketing. I was hoping that, you know, that Lisa Mick from PIVX would join us today and talk about marketing, but you know, people do have scheduling conflicts, etc.
We'll do it another time,
and she does such an amazing job at it that it's one of the areas I don't even have to worry about. Marketing just runs on its own. They reach out when they need something, and I'm in awe every day when I look at the Twitter post, and it's like, that is brilliant.
Oh,
so that's good. You know, that's a huge weight off of me as a project manager, which means I can focus on what I love, which is kind of the business side, the development side, you know, and just trying to manage the people.
Yeah, and you're a coder as well. That's an insane skill. That's just crazy. It's so good that you can code. Like I wish I could code. That is really, really great skill. I just have to say, really great skill. All my nieces now are learning how to code in school. So it's such a good skill. Like the next generation just have to be ready. I think it's powerful that you can code, so it's really good.
Yeah, coding is great in a number of ways. It's great to be able to go to a project and open up the code and at least understand it. You know, I couldn't code the core wallet. I don't code in C++, but I can open it, read it, understand it. When they're making changes, I can go into the GitHub and I can take a look at the changes and go, oh, that's really cool. Oh, wow, that's pretty amazing. I wonder how they thought of that. So when I'm working with the core wallet, I'm always in awe. But just being able to code things like explorers and make changes and websites, you know, I find it really fun, but it also teaches the brain about problem solving, because everything has to be done in steps. You take a big project and you break it down. And I find that works in real life as well. So I've made sure all of my kids have learned coding. And what I notice is none of them are coders. You know, they've all learned it and they all dabble sometimes, but what they've really learned is problem solving. So I just find that coding and real life really come together very, very well.
I love that. It's good that you equip them with that. I'm like that with my nieces and nephews and stuff, and I'll be the same when in the future when I have kids and stuff. I'm going to make them learn coding. I think it's such a great skill. So yeah, definitely, that's so good. It'll be good to talk about partnerships. Do you guys have any partnerships in the pipeline, and like what are your goals that you hope to achieve?
So the biggest one that we've got lately it's called MetaMouse. And what they are is they're basically a really unique gateway that would actually allow our DAO to be able to purchase things like plane tickets or hotel accommodation. So if we're going to conferences, even conference booths. So what it is, it's a gateway where they have trusted partners all over the world, and they have the ability to make payments. So basically, if we were doing a show, we could get invoices. We could get the travel agent to send us the hotel, the flight, the conference to send us an invoice, and then we submit that to MetaMouse. They would have their trusted partners pay those invoices, and we would send them the crypto. And then their trusted partners have the option of being paid out in fiat or in crypto. So it's really, really unique. So we're really excited about that. That's our first big step towards adoption. And then we do have some other things in the pipeline similar that we're working with, to bring about use cases for PIVX. So PIVX isn't just something you hold on to and wait for the moon. It's something that you can now bring about for trial. I mean, I would love to be able to spend PIVX on vacation, be able to take my rewards and book a trip every year. For my wife and I, that's the dream.
Right? That sounds great. Oh, congrats on the MetaMouse partnership. That sounds really, really great. So what are you most looking forward to? What are the goals? If someone said, what would your goal for, say, 12 months from now, what would you want to have achieved?
I want to be sleeping better at night 12 months from now. So I'm really happy the way the project's been going. As a project lead, my stress level ramped up really fast. It's now slowly starting to come down now that things are starting to go. But it's really just getting PIVX back on track. So right now, we're working with some different developers. So we're trying to interview for the core developer position, because that's key. We need to have those positions filled, whether it's one developer or two or a team. We're still wide open to that, but we want to get core development moving again. If you've been into the PIVX Discord, you'll notice that we have community developers that have their own channel, and there's some great conversation in there. We've got a developer that's looking to do mobile wallets. We've got a developer that's looking on, making sure that PIVX is part of a DEX. So there's lots going on in different areas, and that's just what we want to see. I want to see 20 to 30 projects going on that all bring value to PIVX. That's my dream.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really, really great. It's so nice to see how far you guys have come, and it's great. Thank you so much for jumping on this call. We need to do another call because I've got so many more questions, but I can see it's been 40 minutes already. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So
I'd love another call. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for agreeing to it. It'll be good to do another call because I've got so many more questions I want to ask. I wanted to ask about ZK, Snarks, and some other things, but I know we're not going to have time to cover that. But it's been great having you here because this is going to go on my channel. And as mentioned before, because I covered PIVX a year ago, it's so good to catch up with the project lead, Sparrow, who I'm so grateful could be here today and talk to us and give us all this great information about all the great things that are coming up with PIVX and all the things that they're working on and the things they've got in the pipeline, plus the new core team of 30 people. So really thank you so much for being here. Do you have any final words, even though we're going to catch up again soon?
I just want to say thank you. I mean, it's really important that the community knows what's going on. So it's amazing that you give us this opportunity, or gave me this opportunity, to be able to, ask questions and just have a great conversation with you about PIVX. So I really do appreciate that.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been great speaking to you. And we'll try and do this again really, really soon and cover a lot of questions because the time has been so quick. So yeah, we'll definitely catch up soon.
All right, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for being here. Have a great day.
Yep, you too.
Enjoy the sun. See you later. Bye.